I don't know. It's going to be a hot one. I don't know what to tell you. It is going to be a hot one. Let me know if you can hear me and see me. Let's see if anything is going right today. Welcome, Derek. Welcome, Patrick. Why do I feel like this audio sounds different? I don't know what happened. The AC has gone out. Okay, it went out yesterday. I spent an entire night. I might as well have slept in a Florida swamp. Okay, not a good night. It was not a good. I was not restful sleep. I will say that. Sound is good. Video is good. Well, that's good. I could very well pass out from heat stroke at any point during this stream. It is currently, I underestimated the ability of an air conditioning system to cool down a house. It was 86 degrees in the house when the technician left. It is now 82 degrees. It's getting there. It's getting there. It's hot. It's still very hot. And then we have the lights on in here, which obviously contributes to the heat. But they did fix it, and it is slowly coming down. First of all, before we called them, I tried everything. I was getting recommendations for, well, you gotta do, I had a shop vac. The shop vac was like there's like a return line or something. Oh, well, sometimes that gets clogged. You just hook a shop vac up to it, pull that clog out. You'll be good to go. No, it wasn't good to go after that. Was not good to go after that. Turns out we have a very rare problem with the air conditioning unit, which is 8 months old. This kind of gets me into one of those rants about why it's important to just do things the right way, you know? When we as providers are saying, hey, yeah, we should build websites the right way, scalable, maintainable fashion. You remember the days where, like, my grandmother's air conditioning unit, you think it went out 8 months after she got it? No, because they did things right back then, you know? You would get an air conditioning unit put in, that bitch was good to go for 17 years before anybody needed to even look at it or sniff around it, okay? Now I buy a new house, 8 months later, no air conditioning. Why is that? Why? You guys tell me. You know the answer. You know the answer. Okay. We're not here for the rants. We're here for some good content. Yeah, you didn't miss much, Jamie. Yeah, we just started. I'm locked into the pavers story. Oh, that's it. Don't get me started on the pavers now. Don't get me started on the pavers. Did I get a response from this guy? Let's see if we got a response yet on the pavers. Guy wanted me to 2025. Guy wanted me to send him a paper check for a deposit. If you're not up to speed on the story, and I said, well, given the fact that it's 2025, I don't have any of those. So is there another way to pay for the deposit? And I'm waiting to hear back on that. These local service providers, they I don't know why, they don't make it easy to pay them. Okay, I don't see, well, here. Oh, let me get in the right email account. We're gonna jump in and do some live development today, everybody. Ooh, he responded. We do accept Zelle. Okay, fantastic. We're making progress. I'll go ahead and take care of that after this live stream. Let's see. Bill, we've had to spend 50% already on attorney fees for construction defect. Yeah, it's not a good situation. Like, people do not do their job anymore. Everything is half-assed. Everything is half-assed. Okay. You need a generator and a portable AC unit. Oh, so yeah, let me tell you what was wrong with the AC unit. The worst possible problem that you can have with an AC unit, okay? You know, sometimes when an AC goes out, it just blows air. It's not cold air, it just blows air. That's like a common thing. You have a lot of different problems cause it to not blow cold air, it just blows air. Our AC unit had a very unique problem in the sense that, because it also is the heating unit, apparently. And it got stuck in the heating mode. So I was like, every time I try to fix something, some part of it that somebody would recommend, I'd flip it back on and be like, all right, come on, let's come down just a little bit. Or like, if it's just gonna stay where it was, that might have even been fine too. No. Every time you tried to see if you fixed it, you had to pay for that in 3 more degrees of heat, because all it was doing was putting out hot air, like literally heating the air that's already overheated. That's what our air conditioner was doing. I need extra, I might need electrolytes. This is, what a day. What a day. Let's do something productive. So I used to have these greeter things, and I would actually use, I was hunting for like the best service to use. ConvertBox was one of them, and until they shit the bed. And so I've wanted to like bring them back for a while, and I want to start exploring how they can be used strategically. There's like 2 or 3 different kind of classic use cases. One is a little bit more advanced. We're really, what we're tackling today is the shell of the component and just the concept in general. And then I think this is something that we can build on over time. Yes, yeah, I mean, for sure. I think it's a worldwide problem at this point. Which is odd, because it's like, you know, the prices keep going up, that's for sure. Like, the things get more expensive, but the quality continues to decline. Like, those 2 things are going in opposite directions. That should not be happening. Okay, so we're gonna build the little shell component, and I wanna explain the concept to those of you who, well, I mean, the concept should be obvious, but there is a use case that's not so obvious that I don't see deployed. And I think it's one that if you deploy correctly, you can use it to significant advantage for leads, for sales, for tailoring copy to getting them to the right place on the website at the right time. There's a lot of opportunities here, and I don't know why I don't see this more often. You know, people do deploy pop-ups. We all hate pop-ups. Everybody hates a pop-up. These are fairly unintrusive, so people don't really hate them as much or at all, especially if they're relevant. So what we're gonna do is just start to build one, and then I will show you what I think you should do with it. But again, it's, you know, there's some tech behind it that has to be built so that this can be deployed properly. You could potentially do it with a WS form drop-in or a Fluent form drop-in. You could do some custom solution with it. That's all kind of secondary to the overall concept. But what I want first is a little avatar that sits right down here in the bottom right corner that has a message box attached to it. And this is kind of the component that we have to build out. And then the logic around when that displays, or what pages it displays on, or what is actually contained inside of the message box and all of that, that will be a secondary thing, okay? But we're going to build the initial part of this. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add a div for this, and then we'll do all the display flex stuff manually, and we'll just work from here, okay? I'm gonna call this greeter, and we're gonna have to think about this. It's gonna have to be a button. It's gonna have to be accessible. There's gonna have to be a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know what the actual structure is supposed to be yet. And that's why I'm doing this live, because a lot of times I've either built something before, and so I already know what the structure needs to be, or we're doing general layout concepts that you see all the time, and it's easy to eyeball the structure. But here, we're doing something that you don't see all that often, and we've got to work our way to the solution. And seeing that happen is a good part of this, right? No, we are not at a new time. Yeah, now the mouse is acting up. Yeah, I will move myself to, this should probably be safe over here. So, well, you're not gonna be able to see the HTML. Where could we be? Maybe up here? I'm gonna try to not forget that I'm up there in case something happens up there. But we're gonna be doing a lot in the bottom right-hand corner here, so we should be okay. All right, so I'm gonna have this greeter, which I think is just going to be a div. That seems about right. I'm gonna put another div in here, which is, we're gonna call this the avatar. And then inside of that, obviously, we should have an image. And in fact, I'm wondering, well, no, because that's probably gonna have to be the button. So let's make that let's go ahead and make that the button. We'll call this avatar button. Avatar, or we'll just call this button. Let's just call that, let's call that the trigger. How about that? We'll call that the trigger. Okay, and then inside of here, I'm gonna go div. Now I'm just gonna do one. This will be a figure to wrap the image, because it is gonna be like an avatar image kind of thing. Okay, and then this is gonna be the avatar. So we've got the figure, we've got the avatar. Let's go ahead and drop the avatar in there. I'm on a blank slate install here. Let's you know what? Let's not use me. Let's just go, let's say portrait, or how about headshot? Okay. She looks friendly. Okay. Let's go with that. And let's go to swoosh, and let's do this, and let's do this, and let's do 250 by 375, whatever, that's fine. Let's make it a WebP while we're at it. And let's 5K, look at that, 5 kilobytes, gonna be very light. Let's go to downloads, downloads. Okay, here's the WebP version, pop her in, use that media. There we go. She's looking a little fuzzy. Why are you looking so fuzzy? What did we do with our, well, I need to be at the right, maybe we'll go a little bit bigger here. How about 500? How about that? Okay. And maybe we'll boost that quality up a little bit. I don't know. She's looking a little fuzzy. Okay. Well, we're at 25K. It's not the worst. Let's go here and grab this one. Okay. Perfect. Use this media. All right. And when we scale that down, it'll be a little bit better. Okay. Perfect. So we've got our little figure situation going. Now, next to the figure, next to the button, we should have a content container. This is gonna be the message, okay? We'll call this message. And I'm thinking from the standpoint of, well, this actually should be the message wrapper, okay? And I'm thinking that this is gonna end up being a slot, is the way that I'm thinking about it. So components, and if you're new to components in Etch, we have something called a slot, which is essentially a drop zone for anything. So you don't have to predetermine what's gonna be there. It's just you're zoning an area essentially and saying, okay, the user can put whatever they want in this zone. We don't care what it is. They can do whatever they want. There's no restriction, there's no limitation. It's just a drop zone, free drop zone. Okay, so we're gonna have a message wrapper right here. I am gonna put a message in it just for now while we get everything configured, and then when we create the component, we will turn it into an actual drop zone. Okay, and I know I'm covering this up. Don't worry, it's gonna move in just a minute, okay? I mean, I could be up here for now. Okay, all right, so this is gonna be the text. That doesn't really matter. I mean, I can write message on here. Now I'm thinking we can go ahead and BIM everything. I think this is pretty much all we need in here. I'm trying to think if I need anything else. I don't think I need anything else. So we'll go, oh, we got some new options. Look at this, wrap in loop, wrap in condition. Those are gonna be super helpful. Let's create BIM. And so now all of these are BIM'd up. And what I'm gonna do first, let's start out nice and easy. So this greeter avatar, and I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit for you guys. Greeter avatar, we're gonna say is inline size of, how about 75 pixels? And then let's do an aspect ratio of 1. Let's do an object fit of cover. And that should give us a nice little square. I'm seeing now that that's going to be too big. So 65, 55, 50. Probably 50 is a nice little sweet spot for that. And we'll go border radius of 50 VW. 50 VW, perfect. So we'll get a nice little circle here. We can even do an object position, and we'll say 50%, 80%, 20%. There we go. Now she's nice and centered in the circle. Okay, so that's our little avatar-y type button. Or that's gonna be the visual part of the button. Okay, what else do we wanna do to that? Maybe while we're here, because this is gonna be floating over other content, so maybe we give it a border. Maybe it can be a 2, 3, 4, 5 pixel border, solid red. No, that's too thick. Let's go 2. Yeah, I like 2. I like 2. Let me make sure I'm not being messaged here. I think we're good. Yeah. Okay. Good. Sometimes the team, you know, if I'm doing something's broken, they'll message me. But I think we're good. Okay, let's go with var black for now on our border. And we can close this and close this. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the entire greeter over here and we're gonna position this fixed. And then we're gonna say top 100%, okay? No, we're gonna say bottom of 0, there you go. And we're gonna say right of 0, and that's gonna bring it down there. Okay, perfect. What we want is with this message wrapper. So that's what's pushing it away from the edge right now. And obviously that message wrapper, this whole message thing needs to essentially float. Now, I was debating whether we should try the new CSS anchoring position for this kind of stuff. However, it's still not supported in Firefox. It's in the 70s. It's not even really close at this point to being supported. So I'm not gonna use it. I'm just gonna go with old school positioning. It's not gonna be as flexible. It's not gonna be as nice or modern or neat, but it is gonna work. And then when anchor positioning is supported, we'll come back and refactor. Thankfully, since this is going to be a component, that will be very easy to do because we have a single source of truth for how it's created. And so we can add that kind of functionality later. So for now, what I wanna do is position absolute this. Let's go top of 0. Let's go left of 0. There's gonna have to be an offset, right? This is gonna be padding. Let's do space M for right now. Obviously, everything is going to need to be tokenized at some point. Padding works better than paddig. I'm thinking actually bottom maybe 100% is the better way to go there. And I'm thinking maybe even right 100% is the better way to go. See where we're moving this message around? Inline size should be maybe max content, but then we're probably gonna wanna put like a max inline size on it where it's never allowed to go wider than like 400 pixels. And then we can test that out and just say, hey, what happens if we drop like lorem 10 in here, okay? And it looks to me like, there we go, 300, 200, 50, 40. I'm thinking space M's a little aggressive on the padding there. Okay. I think 240 is looking pretty good. We're doing, as I always say, like a lot of static stuff first, and then you come back and you tokenize everything, you like framework it, you make it super scalable, super maintainable, but you just want to get it working in the very beginning stages, right? Let's check in on chat here. By the way, I will be answering questions throughout. We'll take you know, some breaks periodically, do some Q&A. Only questions that have hashtag Q will be answered. Let me see if there's any waiting in the queue right now. Hashtag Q. Okay, there's 2 questions waiting. If you do run into any questions along the way, and they can be questions about anything, questions about sales, marketing, etch, agency, freelance, whatever. Go ahead and ask. Okay. Yes, 101 is being updated. That is correct. September, like early September, will probably be the start of the new Page Building 101 series. Okay. The white shirt looks great on. Yeah, it's not me. It's not me. Okay. So let's go to greeter message wrapper. We're just gonna keep going on this. Let me go ahead and bring this up. Okay, so let's go with border radius of radius. Pretty easy to do there. Let's do a box shadow of box shadow M. which I think I refactored all these. I don't even know. Let's go check out the refactored box shadows. What's happening with those? Box shadow, yeah. So they're renamed MD, LG, XL. You can actually rename them on your own now, and the new names will actually appear here, like my shadow, right? And when I save, it should, or maybe on refresh or whatever. Let's save over here just in case. Let's check this out. There's still maybe some buggies. Let's say, nope, now it's called My Shadow. It should rename, we're gonna get it to rename on save, so you don't have to do the refresh. But remember it used to say like MLXL, you could rename them, but it never changed the names on the tabs. Now it's gonna change the names on the tabs. We'll put that back at MD. And I'll just make sure that I use MD on that box shadow. So box shadow, MD, save, refresh. And yeah, I don't know. We're still not getting a box shadow. So I'm gonna have to check that out. Let's do, 0, 0, 0, 40 pixels, 0. Let's do a color. Oh yeah, I can, you know what? I can still do black trans 20. Oh, that's not expanding the way I wanted it to. Okay. Let's do color mix of in Oculch. Okay, LCH. And let's do black. And how about, 20%. And then transparent. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we don't want it to be too aggressive. Let's do 20 pixels, something like that. Maybe we'll suck it in a little bit of -10, -5. There we go, something like that. And how about we do a border of 1 pixel solid. We can do a border of our border. I just don't know. That's been refactored too, and I don't know if it's completely working yet. Let's see if it is. Let's go to the front end. Let's just see what we've got so far. Yeah, okay. But border needs to be adjusted as well. So borders and dividers. This got tweaked a little bit here. Oh yeah, okay. We're using dark border by default, so we can just switch this from 20% to 10%. It's gonna be a much lighter border there. Okay, that's good. Why is this text so big would be another question. I know I'm zoomed in a little bit. Okay, yes, we are. Yeah, okay. What do I have? I don't even know what the setup is on this site. Let's go 15. Yeah, 15, and then this will be 16. Okay, that should be fine. Save, and I'll just change it to text S. Okay, so greeter, message, wrapper. We'll put that font size on here. There we go. Okay, that's starting to look pretty good. We need to offset her because she's like super buried in the corner right now. I'm also noticing what is going on with, looks like there's some padding in here that I did not ask for. Or some height or, oh yes, look at this. Figure, where figure. This is the browser. We should probably reset this in Etch's style sheet. Let's do that right now. Let's do that right now. Let's go to, the benefit of being a developer of the tool is that when you run into these situations where it's like, okay, that's definitely should be reset. The question now is, should we reset it in Etch or should we reset it in ACSS? I think probably both, but let's do Etch first. Let's go to, let me see if I can find the Etch reset CSS. There we go. So here's like the reset file for Etch. This is just a basic CSS reset. I wonder if we're doing anything with figures in here yet. No. So what the browser's trying to put a margin on the bottom of all figures. See, that's not Etch doing that. That's not ACSS doing that. That is the fucking browser. What is called a user agent style sheet. I believe seems to be where it's coming from. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't even show. Okay, so let's go to, let's see, inherent fonts, make texture, avoid text overflows. Okay, remove user agent padding on figures. Where figure padding 0. And I'm just hope the where should still, it should all be fine. Let's see if that does anything here. Doesn't appear so. Okay. Well, I don't want to get too aggressive with it until I can look at different edge case scenarios. So I'm just going to do it on here for right now. Let's go to the figure, which is sitting inside of the button, and let's go padding of 0. And then let's go to the front end. No. Oh, I'm sorry. It was margin, wasn't it? I'm trying to reset the padding, and it's actually margin that's causing the problem. Margin of 0. Let's go back. And that may have done something. Let's save. I don't know. Save. No, did not. Okay. Let's go to margin 0 here. That definitely did it. All right. Now what we want to do is we want to offset it. Yeah, let's do it on the whole greeter. I can already, this is going to be a token for sure. So we're going to say greeter offset, and we'll say 1. Should we do a fixed value? Should we do a percentage value? The problem is 5%. I don't know if this is going to work the same going both axes. We'll see. No, it's not. But M seems to, but we could just make it a pixel value. Like, wow, bro, that's not 100 pixels. Are you serious? Okay. There we go. That's a good little float. Now, you know, I'm doing some of the styling first because I do want it to just, before we make it functional, we can kind of make it pretty sometimes before you make it functional. Actually kind of like the offset's pretty good. What happens if we put, let's put a real kind of message in there and see, did I click the wrong thing? I clicked the wrong thing. I want heading. Okay. And that would be an H2 technically. It's its own little area. Let's say welcome. And then I'll explain some other things that we can do with this, okay? So we have welcome. Let's go ahead and display this as flex. And we can flex direction of column, okay? And then we can gap it of content gap, maybe divided by 2. There we go. That looks pretty good. Okay. And so you can see the idea here. Greeter, message wrapper. For right now, I'm just gonna do this. We're gonna remove this, but I'm just gonna do it for right now. Font size, I just want that to be smaller. Okay. Okay, that's looking pretty nice. That's looking pretty nice. So what I want is when you hover over this, or when you focus on it, it's going to grow a little bit. It's gonna scale, okay? So we're gonna come down and I'm gonna say, remove that, okay? We'll say animate, right? And we'll say, and hover, and focus visible. Okay, so when you hover or focus, we're gonna do a border of 5 pixel solid red. And, oh, that's on the, see, that's why we do this. Make sure we're doing the right thing at the right time. Okay. Boom, greeter message wrapper. We need to be on the trigger. Okay. Boom. Okay. Ooh, look at that. Okay. So, and hover, focus, visible. We need to put this on the avatar. On the avatar. I'm just putting that as a placeholder right now. Okay. All right. And then, so that should be greeter, what? Greeter double underscore avatar, if I had to guess. Greeter double underscore avatar. There you go. Okay. But we're not going to do a border. What are we actually going to do? Scale, maybe 10%. There you go. That's probably good enough. And then what we're gonna do is on the greeter avatar right here, we're going to transition scale, 0.3 seconds, ease in, out. And look at that. Nice and just subtle. So not too crazy. Don't go too crazy with things, okay? Keep it subtle. When I do hover and focus visible, I don't think the focus visible part matters all that much for this. Let's go with a cursor of pointer. Maybe it was already a cursor pointer, but I'm just not seeing it in the builder. Let's go to the real world. Yeah, okay, that's good. We're already getting that. Okay. The reason I made this a button is because if somebody clicks it, they can close this message, okay? And then if they ever want the message to come back, they can click it again, the message will come back. That's why this is a button. We have to add functionality for showing and hiding this little message, okay? You can even have different styles of messages. Like you can have a mini message that says like, hey, click me, you know, something like that. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of possibilities. What we're doing is just getting to a workable, like initial version of this and just see how it's gonna work in like component form with a slot and some of the things that we can do with it, which I'm gonna kind of fast forward to. I'm gonna check on chat real quick and see how we're doing. And then I'm gonna show you one of them, like my primary use case for these things. I'm gonna show you what it is right now and how you can use it. Let's go to here, head blocking, indeed. Why am I in the way? Hold on, what am I in the way of? Let's go back. Oh, because I brought that way up there. Okay. Let me get to, where's my preview? Here's my preview. Let me make my preview bigger. Okay, good. Ooh, look at that. No, that should be fine. Okay, nothing changed it. Yeah, I didn't do anything VW, VH or anything like that, so we should be fine. Okay. We'll go back to, where's Ecamm? There's two different preview windows in Ecamm, which annoys the heck out of me. Okay, now we should be far away from where we're doing our work. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Nick, welcome. Okay, good. Yeah, I can make myself a little smaller too. Okay. So what we want to do is see the use case for this. So I'll just use, let's say, etch as the use case, right? What I would do is go link. Actually, these would end up being buttons, okay? So button, I keep hitting caps like, because I'm used to doing that. Okay, so we're gonna make all of these buttons and I'll bring this out just to give myself some extra room here. And we'll just say, now this would all happen inside, this is temporary, this is gonna be removed, okay? This would all be happening inside of the slot, which I'll demonstrate in just a second. I don't know that I'm ready to make it a component yet. We'll say choice 1, and then this would be like choice 2 and choice 3. Okay, just like that. And then these would be like button primary, and this would be the same. And this would be the same, okay, perfect. And I would say message, just again, temporarily, button primary, let's do width of 100%, okay, boom, just like that. Okay, and this would say, writing copy on the fly is always very difficult, okay? So let me do the button text first. That'll help. So it'll say, I'm a beginner, okay? This one would say maybe like, I'm fairly advanced, okay? And now I want the message wrapper max width to be, can we fit that? There we go. Okay, let's go with that. And then this one would say like, I'm a developer. Something like that, okay? Those would all be small buttons too. We don't have to make it perfect right now. Just explaining what this would be used for and how it would potentially be used. And I would be looking to do this with a form, like WS form, and I'll explain why in just a minute, okay? So what would the intro text be here? I don't want to, something, I don't want it to be like too generic. I would have to write like 10 different variations of this and then decide what I actually like best. So I'll just do something very generic, and then you just know that this is not the actual copy that you should go with, okay? Definitely never, your headlines, first of all, should never say welcome. Can we start there? No, they should never say welcome. So that's gonna have to be changed. But essentially what you're gonna want is a greeting, that's why this is called a greeter, that says, you know, like, how would you describe your web development skills? Okay, something like this. So they would say, I'm a beginner, or I'm fairly advanced, or I'm a developer. Now, the way I would use WS form here is with a multi-step form, where this would be the first step of the form. And as soon as they click a button, guess what? It takes them to the second step. And now we would decide what we want the second step to be. I could most often take them to a, probably an opt-in of some sort, where they put in their name, their email, and it tells them what's gonna happen next, okay? And probably take them to a landing page on the website that is specifically written and geared towards the thing they chose. So if they said, I'm a beginner, the landing page will all be about how Etch is great for beginners. And we would go through all the reasons why, and we would explain all the things in a less technical format. And then if they chose, I'm fairly advanced, obviously we would take them to a completely different landing page that says a lot of different things. And then I'm a developer, again, would take them to a complete, so we're bucketing them, we're funneling them. And then the reason we're doing this in terms of buttons and maybe an opt-in, and it depends on how technical you can get, where you might not even need the opt-in to happen yet, where you could cookie potentially their choice. And when they're ready to opt in, like on the landing page you take them to, that cookie information is already available. So when they opt in, we're using that information we already gathered earlier from their button click. And the whole goal here is that when we put them in the email system, one, to get them as a lead, right? But two, when we put them in the email system, we have this information, because it's not just about showing them the right landing page. It's also then about sending them the right follow-up emails. So we would have 3 different email funnels where if they say I'm a beginner, they're gonna go into the beginner email series, right? If they say I'm fairly advanced, they're gonna go into the advanced email series. And if they're a developer, they're gonna go into a completely different email series. So this is about showing them the right landing page, getting them to the right copy, getting them to the right messaging, getting them to the right offer, then having a follow-up sequence that is completely dialed in to what they chose. So everything is, you know, nice and organized and nice and neat. And we're not speaking over certain people's heads, or we're not talking about things that's not relevant to where they are as a user. This is a very, very, very classic way to do this. And you don't see this often enough. One, you don't see bucketing enough. Like a lot of businesses don't even know what their segments are. They don't even know, like, and because I'm sure you've worked with clients before and this has happened, right? Where you're like, well, okay, you know, what kind of person do you serve? Who's your like ideal customer? We sell to anybody and everybody. I mean, you know, your brother, your sister, your mother. I mean, anybody that could buy it for sure, potential. Like, that's how you know you're working with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing in marketing and sales or anything else, right? So when you come across a business that knows their segments, they know their buckets, you should set something like this up for them. Because a website in general, if we go to a homepage, right? What is a homepage designed to do? A homepage kind of it speaks to the ideal customer, but there's always different buckets of people, you know? But you can't just choose one. You can't just choose one. What you want is you want to find ways where the visitor to the website can self-identify, right? And tell you, hey, here is the bucket I belong in. And then once they tell you that and you give them that opportunity, now you can speak to them correctly, okay? And websites just you don't see that often enough. You don't see that often enough. And it's one of the biggest ways to increase conversion rates, lower bounce rates, get more sales, get more leads. Because again, copywriting is always right message, right time. Well, if you don't even know who you're talking to or what situation they're in, how can you possibly deliver the right message at the right time? You've got to find a way to segment people. This is an easy, unobtrusive way to do that because it just shows up in the bottom right-hand corner of the page when they arrive. Here we go. Now, this is very big. Again, I would say the buttons need to be smaller, right? The text needs to be smaller. I'm also zoomed in, by the way. That's more realistic to what it actually looks like, okay? And then if they want to close it, they can easily close it. It's all good. Okay. I'm also wanted to show you if you're, how to vibe code something like this to where, okay, you got it visually there, but now how do we make it functional? How do we make it functional? Okay. So let's just do something simple of, we want to close the message. Okay. So the message needs an open state. We need probably an ARIA expanded situation going on here, which I can add right here. So I'm going to go to the trigger and we're going to say ARIA expanded equals false. All right. We know we're probably going to need that. We're probably going to need an ARIA label on this, which would say like open message, something like that. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this in DIA so that we can actually see a situation now. And this would be more aligned with where Etch is going. Because in Etch, eventually, you're going to have an agent that is trained on Etch, trained on like CSS nesting, for example, trained on the things that Etch, the Etch workflow, okay? And so having an experience where you don't actually have to leave the dev environment, like you're in WordPress, you're in a unified development environment, and you have access to an agent inside of that interface, DIA right now is the closest to that experience, okay? Because at least with DIA can access what I'm looking at here in this panel. DIA can talk to me basically like I'm in Etch, okay? Closest experience that we can get right now. And so I just want to test it out, see what the quality is like of DIA, see if we can get the job done. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed, look at this, watch this, okay? Watch over here, and good, I'm not down there, right? When I copy this, look, DIA is aware of what I just copied, just like the agent in Etch will be when we actually have a native Etch agent. But so DIA is aware of the HTML structure. I don't even have to copy and paste anything, right? So I'm just going to start asking questions. I'm going to walk you through how you might want to approach this when you're doing similar things. So people always are curious about this kind of stuff. So I'm going to say, here's my button structure for firing a welcome message. The message is going to be displayed by default when the user arrives, at least for now. Okay. Do I need any other ARIA? I'll say, are there any other ARIA requirements for accessibility? Are there any other ARIA requirements for accessibility here? And I'm also going to say, I want people to be able to hide the message when they click the button. Are there any other ARIA requirements for accessibility? Let's just get the conversation started with DIA. Okay, so ARIA expanded, we've got it. ARIA controls, okay, equals ID of message to the button where ID of message is the ID of the message container. Button label, so ARIA label open message, we got that. That is a button, we got that, okay. Message container should have role of region and an accessible label. And obviously also you want to double check all of these things, not just take their word for it. You should also question the agent from time to time and say, are you sure that is actually needed or that is accurate? And then if it comes back, one thing I found is if it comes back as like, yes, that is very accurate, and then it might even provide a source or something, then you can be way more confident, because if it's not confident, it will tell you it's not confident. It will be like, you're right. Maybe I should look into that more, So just a little tip, Okay, so message container role region, accessible label, ARIA label, welcome message, or ARIA labeled by some heading ID, okay? So screen readers can announce it as a landmark. We will button all of that stuff up later. What we want to do is get the button functionality of, can I make this message disappear when I click the button and then reappear when I click the button again? Okay, and we've got the basics of that right now, which is ARIA expanded false. I'm gonna set that to true since we are gonna have it be expanded on page load. Okay, so let's see, dynamically update, blah, 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 great. Great, can you write the vanilla JavaScript for making this happen? And then in parentheses, I'll say, open, close the message on button click. Okay, well, let's just see what we get spit back based on that. Okay, now I'm already gonna make an adjustment, okay? When I ask for JavaScript, I don't want you to provide anything other than the JS code, okay? I don't need all the, like, oh, here's your body and your head and your, no, we don't need any of that stuff, okay? We got what we need. We just need the JavaScript. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy this, and we want to paste this in on the main element, okay? And then let's just review this real quick. We have real estate, we have real estate. Okay, so greeter trigger, yep, okay. It's gonna query, okay, so the question would be, do we want multiple of these to be on the same page at the same time? I would actually in this case say no. We don't want that. So we don't need to query selector all. I think just querying one is fine. Get element by ID. Don't want to do that, okay? Let's say I want to avoid needing IDs. Okay, let's paste in a new version and see what we've got here, okay? So it's creating a constant for the trigger and for the message. Next element sibling, okay. Well, see, that approach may be a little problematic because I don't know if, yeah, I mean, will we ever put anything else in here? Maybe not. Okay, I mean, we'll leave it for right now. Toggle message is open, trigger attribute ARIA expanded is true, set attribute ARIA expanded string, Okay, safe. All right, we're gonna go to the front end and just see what's happening. Okay, all right, pretty good, pretty good. So, you know, is it perfect? You know, we'd have to analyze it more and take a look at it. But if you don't know what you're doing, it's getting you to a working solution. And then you can come back later. And by the way, you can tag team the LLM situation, feed it into Grok and be like, hey, this other agent wrote this JavaScript. Is there anything wrong with it? Is there anything you would improve? Can we make it better? Yada, yada, yada. I mean, you could tag team this stuff. But what we have now is when you arrive, we have a welcome message, which we could also, by the way, do a fancy little entrance animation on of some sort, you know? And then the person's got the ability to be like, I don't want to see that right now. And they're going to move down. We could also, because depending on how many pages this shows up on or whether you put it in a template or something like that, we could cookie the user's preference of like, okay, remember that they closed it. So on the next page load, it's closed. Like they shouldn't have to close it every single page load. That would be another thing that we would want to potentially add here. What I'm more interested in doing, because we kind of did a lot of the basics, right, is looking at other ways you could potentially use this and also componentizing this. So I'm gonna move on first to the component side of this. So I'm gonna right click, create component. We're gonna have a component called greeter. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say avatar, right? What is the avatar going to be? Because we should be able to swap these out. On a bigger, larger scope website, maybe we want to be able to greet people on different pages using a different person, okay? And so we don't want it to always be this girl's photo. We wanna be able to choose the photo on an instance by instance basis of this. So we'll say, what is the avatar? We'll say, what is the, maybe even the avatar, let's do text. We could do avatar, alt text, avatar alt text, something like that, okay? And then let's just hit save and let's just stop there and see if we can get this working. So I'm gonna go ahead and click to bring this in, okay? And you can see the source right here as well. So you can update it here in the HTML. You can update it right here in the source. We're gonna say props.avatar. And then with the alt text, I'm gonna bring that in and we're gonna do props dot, oh, it does copy props. Okay, put it there, props dot avatar alt text. Go ahead and save, excellent. And then I can choose a default value, so she can be the default. And then we'll go ahead and preview that. But on an instance by instance basis, right? Here's my greeter component being used. I can always go in, let's go to unsplash, let's go to headshot, and let's grab this dude right here, okay? Let's go to squoosh him, bring this in, resize, 500, pump him up a little bit, web P, drop him down, good. Okay, get back into etch. There we go. Where's my boy at? Here we go. Drag him in, use this media. Now look, now Craig, okay? Now Craig is greeting you, look at that. And then we'll say Craig, right? There's Craig. So now I have the ability to have many different people potentially greet you on this website. All right, so the next thing that we wanna do, we're gonna go back into component editing mode. And again, if you were on like the live stream I did last week or maybe the week before, I can't keep track these days, you want to not like try to think of every single possible option and all of the complexity that could possibly exist in this component and bake it all in ahead of time. You wanna do the bare minimum. And then when you run into a situation where like, oh, okay, now we need more functionality, that's when you add the additional functionality. You don't sit and brainstorm and try to do everything ahead of time. It's not a good strategy. Okay, so what is also obvious? Well, we need to be able to put anything we want inside of this deployment, essentially, okay? Which means that the message wrapper, everything in here, gotta go. Which I'm also seeing now, if this is gonna be blank like this, we actually want some minimum dimensions. So I went inline size here. I'm gonna go min inline size. And I'm gonna say, you know what, like, it should be at least 200 pixels, okay? And then I'll do min block size, also probably of 200 pixels. Maybe that's a little aggressive on the height. There we go. So now I can clearly see I've got like, there's my drop zone essentially, right? And how are we gonna do a drop zone? I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna say slot. And I'm gonna call this message. Okay, so we've got this slot called message. I'm gonna go ahead and save. I'm gonna exit, great. And now here I am using the greeter. I'm gonna save this and I'm gonna show you what this kind of deployment would look like. So here I am, we can close Dia. We don't need Dia anymore for right now. I'm creating a new page. I'm deciding that on this page, I would like to have a greeter component. So I'm gonna go to add component. I'm gonna choose greeter and it's gonna greet down here. And it's gonna come up here and show slot message to where now, look at the flexibility of this. I can now put whatever I want in here. I could put a form in here. I could put a heading and text and a link. I could put a button. See, I didn't have to set any of this up. I didn't have to decide, oh, what are we gonna allow in the greeter? Are we gonna allow them to have a button? What if they want 2 buttons? What if they want 3 buttons? And then program all this conditional logic and all these, no. No, we built the shell of it and then we just go, let them do anything. Let them put whatever they want here. And that is what a slot does. A slot is a drop zone where I am unrestricted. And what I can put a photo in here if I want, another image, right? Let's put the image up here and let's just grab, what if I wanted like my full image here, you know, like that. And then I can change the avatar to him as well, okay? Anything that you wanna have happen here can happen. I'm gonna take the image out. That was just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so hey, I'm Craig. Hey, I'm Craig. And I need to capitalize Craig, okay? Look how the message container is going to continue conforming to the size of my message. And if I get, you know, if I write more, then it's going to expand, right? But it's never gonna get too wide because we capped the width of it, right? So it's always gonna be, you know, max this wide right here. So it's very flexible in that regard. And you wanna test these kinds of things out with like, don't always use a little bit of text. Like throw a lot of text in there and see what happens. Does it break? Where does it break? You know, and then you can kind of make it more future-proof. Okay, so hey, I'm Craig. Excited to show you Etch. Great. Hey, I'm Craig, excited to show you Etch. And then I could say something like, tell me more about your experience level. I've got something you should see. Ooh, put a little intrigue in there, you know? Okay, and then they say something like, we can do button primary here, we can do button S right here, and then this is gonna say, I'm a beginner. Okay, and then we already did this, right? This will take them to a landing page, whatever they want. And then I'm free to duplicate, boom, boom. And then I can make this one say, I'm an intermediate, right? And then this one would say, I'm a pro. Bang, just like that. So see how I'm like, I can do whatever I want on any page with this message component now because of slots. What I would also recommend doing here, if you have analytics software, like I use User Maven, right? Create events for these buttons and track. So not only are you, when they opt in, you're getting them put in your email system with these tags so that you can send them the right emails, but in your event management or in your analytics with the event management, you can keep track of like what percentage of our visitors are clicking beginner. What percentage of our visitors are clicking pro? And you can get a better just general understanding of your audience. Like this is so valuable in so many different ways. But you could also just throw an opt-in in here if you wanted to. Like, hey, I'm Craig, okay? Hey, I'm Craig. It's floating, so it's a little hard to select the text here. Okay, there we go. Hey, I'm Craig. I've got a quick gift for you. Okay. What would the gift be? I don't really know. This is where you would explain the gift, okay? And then instead of these 3 buttons, you pop in a little WS form that just says like, email address, submit, email address, or send me my free thing, whatever. And so it just becomes a simple opt-in at that point. There's so many different things you can do inside of this concept of a nice, friendly little welcome bubble message thing with somebody's little cute little smiling photo, right? Which always makes it a little bit more friendly and approachable. Users and myself, we much prefer these things over pop-ups nobody wants. It's a preferable experience, right? I'm gonna pause here. We're gonna go to, can you move your head to the center? The head was covering the component settings. Okay. Yeah, I can show you, there we go. I can show you the component settings again. So I'm gonna go to edit component. The only things over here, literally this entire thing was an avatar prop, an avatar alt text prop. And the slot does all of the heavy lifting because the slot is essentially the drop zone where they can do whatever they want. And that slot is sitting right over here and I called it message, okay? So that's it. There's not a lot going on right here. Let's go back. Is there anything else we would even want to think about doing here aside from the hard stuff, which is like you would add the, and really see, you would need to do this at the slot level. If you're gonna do the 3 buttons thing, that's where you would almost wanna add the cookieing, the, whatever else needs to happen there for that kind of functionality. Because you could do a lot of different, there's, the sky's the limit here. But this is the general concept. Okay, let's go to questions and such. And I'm just gonna catch up on the chat. And it's hot in here. It's 80, it's gotta be still like 80 degrees. The lights are not helping. Okay. All right, chat's not buzzing much, so I'm gonna go over to questions. We'll start from the top. When is Etch's first birthday party at your new house? Are we invited? Alligator, crocodile, meat burgers are on me. Well, I don't know. Etch's first birthday technically is in sometime in September. I thought PB 101 was available in the IC, but I'm getting 404 for each lesson. No, it is available in the IC. Maybe we could check on it right now and see. Tobias put it in there. Page building 101. Okay. And we'll go to, let me go I haven't even honestly looked at it yet, so we'll just check it out here. Edit lessons. Okay. I'm an admin, so I don't know if it'll take me to the actual lessons without like managing the lessons. Can I view this on, there we go, view course. Thank you. Okay, let's just choose a random one. Nope, it's working. When you break web, yeah, it's working. I don't know. Go back and try again. Go back and try again. It seems to be working. Okay. When will the second phase buyers get access to the download of Etch? Early September. They already have it. It depends on what plan you chose. Middle and top plans already have the downloads, but everybody's gonna have downloads as soon as we open the card again in July. Every level will get downloads. Any chance we can get a roadmap for the inner circle? Then we don't have to ask every live what is coming up. Right now we're still in the copywriting series, so more copywriting trainings are coming. We're gonna finish that off, and then we're gonna talk about what is coming next. I'm gonna do a poll. I have a poll of some different options, and I wanna know what people vote on, and then that's gonna determine it. So keep your eye out for a poll. Are you using images directly in WebP format? No HT access redirect. I thought it's not supported in Safari yet. Let's go check WebP. So anytime you see this percentage right here, you're good to go. It's been supported in Safari for a while. Yeah. I mean, you don't like, when you're above 92-ish%, the people that are excluded, if they're in that, like, what is that? 8% cohort that's not, they're seeing so much broken shit on the internet. They have so many security violations in their, it's just, you stop worrying about them at that point. I'm not worried about you. I'm not worried about you. And you should be used to seeing broken shit because you're seeing a lot of it on the internet if you're in that cohort. That's how I think about it. All right. Will there be a component manager and a way to group them? Yeah, 100%. Why user Maven versus Google Analytics, which allows you to remarket? Google Analytics is fucking trash. It's an absolute trash can, and I boycott it, and I boycott almost everything that Google does. Yeah, that's the simple explanation for that. User Maven is way easier to work with, way easier to set up and manage, and you could still do remarketing without Google Analytics. Page Building 101 with Etch WP when it's available. September is when we will start. Okay. Here's my question for you in the chat. You can just put this in the chat. Have you ever deployed anything like this? Okay. This little welcome message type button. Have you ever deployed it with segmentation in what I'm describing? And by the way, for those of you who are like, man, it's going to be really difficult to do buttons that then take you to a form that then da-da-da. And that's why I said, actually, with something like WS Form, all of the heavy lifting would be done for you. And then it would even link up to the Bento. Like I use Bento for email marketing. So it would link up there. It would send the data into Bento. It would tag the people in Bento. It would start the email automation sequence. All of that complexity would be handled not by this component, but by what I drop into the component, which is WS Form or potentially Fluent Form or whatever it may be. WS Form obviously would be the best option. I just went through PB 101 a few days ago and it worked. Yes, good. So somebody else confirmed. I mean, you could reach out to Tobias and see, but we haven't gotten any. Usually when something like that is not working in the inner circle, we get dozens of reports immediately. I haven't heard anything, so yeah. So yeah, if you have not used this approach before, I would highly recommend you test it out. It's bonkers for conversions, for routing people to the right places, for segmentation, for analytics. It's really effective. Okay. Did I see that SAS nesting is available in Etch CSS structure window? SAS nesting is available in yes. Yeah, everything in Etch is based on CSS nesting. By the way, if you want to see another demo or another something live get built, if you're like, hey, how would you approach that? We could do that. We could do that right now too. We're pretty much done with what I wanted to experiment with and kind of show you the process of going through that. So we can switch gears and go to anything else before I pass out from heat stroke. Yeah, so SAS nesting, let's take a look at that, for example, okay? I can delete my greeter because it's saved. Look, anytime I want my greeter to come back, it can come back and I can put more stuff in it. It's really, really good. And then when we have exportable components, I can actually export this for you. And by the way, just to let you know, your clients could deploy this greeter in Gutenberg. Once we have like components working in Gutenberg and slots working in Gutenberg, they would be able to put blocks, like a heading block and a text block and a whatever, inside of that greeter if you wanted them to be able to do that, if you wanted this. So that, I mean, this is even gonna extend potentially to your clients being able to use something like this on the website. Okay, now I would caution against that because, you know, you give Bev a greeter, you're gonna come back. There's gonna be a gallery in there. There's gonna be 8 buttons, 19 links, okay? You got to be careful who you're giving a component like that to. You understand what I'm saying? You know. So yeah, just be careful. Be careful with that. But here I don't want Zoom. Sometimes I hate that animation thing. Okay, so let's go with a section, and I'll just say like my container. And so yeah, this is completely based on nesting. Completely based on nesting. It actually supports SAS nesting. It's not SAS, but it supports SAS style nesting. So for example, if I did my section, and then I came here and this would actually be my section _ container, something like that. Okay, so you have my section container, and you put in a heading and you put in text. I'm just doing this as a demonstration, right? My section heading, and then this would be my section text. I screwed that up. Let's edit that real quick. Okay, and then we're gonna go in here and say, so can I come in here and go my section text? This is nesting. This is vanilla CSS nesting. There you go, color red, right? But this actually supports SAS nesting, which means you can do this and it will still work. It will not break. Okay, so that's really, really, really cool and really, really super handy. And you could even stem off of it as well with dashes, double dashes, whatever. So this works for modifiers. Yeah, really cool. We definitely need a countdown timer element. Okay, I can't show you the HWP pricing page, but there is a countdown on the pricing page. And I made it, I'm not lying to you, with Dia in Etch in about a minute and a half. And then the rest was just CSS styling. That's why it's like, man, some of this stuff, when you have code access, that's the thing. You have code access, you have tremendous flexibility. And then so Dia just gives you the HTML, you pop it in this box. Gives you the CSS, pop it in this box. Give you the JavaScript, pop it in this box. Save, done deal. Customize it a little bit, done deal. So you don't need to wait on us. That's the thing. Like, we will have a countdown element probably eventually, a nice little countdown component you'll be able to pop in, but you don't have to sit around waiting for it because Dia can give it to you in 2 minutes potentially, right? It's pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, definitely there will be 8 buttons. If you give that greeter to Bev, you will come back to some shit. You will come back to a situation. What you'll get is an email from Bev going, you know, the loading time of our website seems really just not good these days. And then you'll investigate and you'll be like, Bev, why'd you put a carousel with 400 images into the greeter component, Bev? That's why it's loading slow, Bev, okay? It's just, that's the life you live when you let clients edit the website. That's the life you choose to live. All right. So you remove the component and then the contents of the slot were gone, but should that snapshot of the component be able to be saved? Not really that useful comment. Yeah. That's the thing is, well, first of all, you wouldn't delete it. If you wanted it to be saved, you wouldn't delete it. But what you can do is you can uncomponentize it, essentially, and then you can save it as a pattern. We don't have pattern library quite yet, but you could save instances of those actually as patterns, right? So that's a possibility. You could just save the internal code that actually goes into the thing as a pattern. And then, so you essentially would add the component and then add the pattern into the slot. You see what I'm saying? Because the slot can accept anything. So you could have that internal part of it saved as a pattern, and then you can inject that pattern into the slot of the component. That's what I would probably recommend doing because that's the most flexible approach. And it doesn't require restructuring anything in the actual component itself. Slots give you tremendous flexibility. How would you do a complete header build with nav live? I wouldn't, because it takes hours. If you're gonna do navigation the proper way with drop downs and flyouts and looping it and all the accessibility requirements, I'll be honest with you. Okay, so doing the nav and the header, doing the header takes 5 seconds. The header's not hard. The nav, just doing a nav that works on desktop and mobile, I don't know, probably an hour, we'll have it done. Making it completely accessible, that adds probably another 2 hours, 3 hours to it. Just the accessibility side of it probably adds another 2 to 3 hours. The amount of things that have to be accounted for and the level of complexity that it tacks on top of what you're doing, it's significant. It is absolutely significant. So you just got to know what you're getting into. Yeah, so finished a mega menu today. It took 4 hours and mobile menu not even included. Yeah. Okay. Any idea of timeline when WS Form would be integrated with Etch? So here's how that's gonna work. We are going to build an Elements API. That is for third-party developers to come in and register elements with Etch. So you see this element bar down here. There's going to be an element drawer as well. And the element drawer will be categorized and it will accept lots and lots of elements. And then essentially what this element bar is going to be is a drop zone where you can take your favorite elements that essentially you want to pin right here from the drawer, and you can pin whatever you want right here, but then you always have access to the entire drawer as well. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We build the Elements API, and someone like Mark with WS Form can come in and he can register a WS Form element that you can then use inside of Etch. It'll let you select your form. And then it may even allow you, he might even create CSS inputs like in a style panel, okay? So let's go style inputs, right? So you select the form and all of this panel changes, and it's all of the inputs that Mark decided to give you for styling that form, probably hooking into the WS Form customizer, right? That is a possibility even. Now, so what is the timeline for that? Well, that's something you should ask Mark once we have the Element API. Now, Mark can't get started yet because we don't have the Elements API. But once we have the Elements API, we're gonna hand it over to Mark, and then it's up to Mark to when is the delivery timeline for something like that. And then that's when you guys put a lot of pressure on Mark. You start emailing Mark, when's that element coming for Etch? Mark, when's that? See, we just got actually today from Facet WP, we got an email from the developers of Facet WP. And they said, hey, people are beating our door down to get facets integrated with Etch. What can we do? First of all, can we have a license? And we were like, yeah, sure. So their license is on the way to them. So they're gonna be able to fire up Etch and start figuring out how they wanna integrate. And we're gonna be working with them as we build the Elements API, saying, hey, what do you guys need? What do you guys need from us in terms of this API to do what you need to do? And so we're gonna be working hand in hand with them and getting that going. And that's gonna be, right around the corner, It's a top priority for sure. How could you use A/B testing with this type of thing to see which greeting works better? Great question. That is absolutely something you can do. I mean, the simplest way to do it would probably be an A URL and a B URL, and each one has a different greeter on it, and then you see which one wins, and then you deploy the winning greeter from that point forward. That's probably the easiest way to do it. But you could do it where you somehow use JavaScript to, it depends on what you're using for A/B testing too. But you could load a different greeter for 50% of the people to the page, and then some sort of internal data collection happening there to tell you which greeter instance won based on that context. So there's a bunch of ways to do it. How complex or how, that's up to you, and what software you use for the A/B testing, that's completely up to you. I would like one day, it's not gonna be anytime soon, it's not gonna be a top priority, but I would like one day for you to be able to set up A/B experiments inside of Etch natively. Because it's a key part of development, you know? Well, the marketing side of development for sure. In the HTML panel, there's an Etch icon on most lines of the code. What is that? That is metadata. And so, for example, in other tools, well, I don't know, it's a very limited amount of tools that allow you to author HTML. But what happens is like Dia, right? So if I chat with this and say, Dia, let's do this, right? Let me go make sure we're selecting the right things, okay? How would I add I'm just asking a dumb question, okay? An image to this HTML. Okay? Now, so notice it's spitting back clean HTML. If I were to take this, let's say I did this up here. Hero, inner, I did all the work to like label all this shit, but then I ask for new code and I go paste that in, right? I just lost all that. All my labels gone. All my labels gone, right? Now, if I go backwards here, if I take, I don't even know, yeah, there we go. If I take this and I paste it in and I say, add that image, but preserve all of the data etch context, okay? It's gonna spit me back code that contains all of that data etch context, right? I don't lose that's all metadata that is storing stuff that I've done outside of this code, related to this code, so that if I ever need to, if I copy and paste this on another page, it's not just HTML anymore. It's HTML with some hidden metadata that preserves various aspects of what I've done outside of this code in the interface, right? Very, very flexible. Very, very flexible. So yeah, that's what that does. All right. I will, okay. Yeah. Dehanzi says, I will wait for the nav element in Etch. Yes. Yeah. Good call. Good call. If you guys haven't seen that, I could potentially demo that. How about frames? Does that work with Etch yet? No. It's not ready to start rebuilding all of those. We still have to have the pattern library first, yada, yada, yada. So some more steps before we can get to that. I don't know that this install has the new, yeah, it doesn't have the new nav. I could actually go copy and paste it. Does it have the loop? Let's go to okay, no, it doesn't even have the loop default in here. Yeah, it's not gonna be easy to demo it on this particular branch. Yeah, you don't see any of the metadata until you actually paste the code somewhere else. It's all hidden behind this little icon, which, by the way, I'm now noticing we need to switch it to the new icon, don't we? Yeah, we for sure do. So I'll make that adjustment. Okay, you know what? We need to are we coming about what time did we start this? Oh, 1:30. Yeah, we got 10 minutes left. Last 10 minutes, get your last questions in. I'm gonna switch back, see if there's anything we haven't answered. I would like to show you guys, I love to show off the loop stuff every chance I get, because it's just so powerful, but we don't have time right now. Have you guys seen the Content Hub stuff that's going on with this? Have you guys seen this? The ability to add new, look at this. I just added a new post. Another new post. Just added another new post. And probably this week, I'm gonna make a prediction. This week, you're gonna be able to do that with pages. You're gonna be able to do that with custom post types. You're gonna be able to do that with custom fields. It's gonna be that easy, that easy. You could even delete them. Say, hey, that new one, I don't want that one anymore, okay? Let's go ahead and save there. Let's go back to WordPress and let's see. There it is, another new post right there. Just created it, right? So you're gonna be able to, the content hub, the content manager as we call it, like, I think that's gonna end up, it's gonna be one of my favorite aspects. And I think most people, well, it's, there's so many favorites in Etch, but like when you start to really get a glimpse of what unified development experience means, on the fly, creating new pages, like you create, think about this, okay? You still can't see the actual real workflow for this, but I go to the content hub, I create a post type called team, okay? So yeah, team, whatever, okay? And this actually is not, creating it is, you're gonna get the table to create that. This is a temporary workflow right now. But I go ahead and create that team. And now, the ability, I can't do it right now. As you can see, the table is empty and I can't interact with it. But I think this week, by the end of this week, you're gonna be able to do what I just did with posts. You just create your team members right here. Just create your team. And then you're gonna go over right from here. Check this out. I go to the loop manager and I can create a team loop, okay? So I can come down here and I could say, all right, this would be like looping through my team. And then I'll just say team here. And then my post per page, I can choose, actually, I can replace this. See, a lot of you don't know this. I can replace this static value right here with something like this, quantity, right? Or amount, or number, or whatever I want. This is an argument, a loop argument, so that when I actually do the looping in Etch, I can set the post per page per loop that I deploy like that very easily, right? So yeah, there's that. But and then I would actually get the output preview of the team member data that's in here, right? So I can then come here, just create my team loop real quick, and then I'm ready without leaving the page that I was on. I can do something like, let's duplicate this container. In here, this would say our team, and then boom, I'm ready to drop in my loop. And I would simply choose right here, I would choose my team, bang. And I would start looping. I obviously don't have any team members yet because I can't add them inside of Etch until the end of this week. But like, just like the ability to go, okay, I'm creating an about page. I'm ready to do my team section. I don't have a CPT for teams. I don't have any team members in here yet. And then I could create a card component for our team members and put the props in. And I can do all of that just from right here. Just start here, go to Content Hub, create the team custom post type, pop the team members in. Great, that's done. Hop over to the loop, create a team loop. Okay, boom, that's done. All right, let's get out of there. Let's pop the loop in the page. Let's drop a card in. Let's unified development environment. Once people, this is gonna be one of those things, when you put all this stuff together, and this is gonna be my closing speech, okay? You put all of this stuff together, and people have start doing that. A week goes by, you've been doing that. A month goes by, you've been doing that. You're loving it. You're going to get to a point where you're like, how did we live with the old model for so long? Why? Because to me, this is obvious. To me, it's obvious that you should be able to do all this stuff in one place. You should let me go out of the builder. Let me go to this other place. Oh, and by the way, that other place is some third-party bullshit plugin. And then we're all having different conversations. Well, how do you do that in ACF? Well, how do you do that in Metabox? Well, they're all just registering custom fields in WordPress. That's all they're doing. But because, they decide to do it this way, and they decide to do it this way. I got the croca blocks, and I got the this, and I got, No. So like Etch, everybody just doing work in Etch, it's gonna be the same CPT, it's gonna be the same custom fields, it's gonna be the same loops, it's gonna be the same logic, it's gonna be the same workflows, it's gonna be the same everything. It's going to be way easier, way better, okay? And you're going to do it all in one place. It's going to be lightning fast. And you're going to wonder, how did we live? It's like caveman times almost, right? Once you have a unified experience, you just are like, what are people doing in a non-unified experience? Well, how are they living right now? What do they have? How many therapists do they have? What like their team? Is it you got a developer and 3 therapists? What does the team actually look like in that age? You know, it's like kids today. They don't understand what we did before iPhones and iPads and all this other stuff. We're not going to understand how people lived before a unified development. This is for entertainment purposes, okay? I'm sweating to death right now. I'm gonna get off. We're gonna probably skip next week because I think we've done 2 in a row now or 3 in a row now. We might take a break next week, and then we'll be back after that. Let me go back to chat real quick so we can say bye to everybody. Crocoplot catches a stray. Okay. Hey, yeah, I can't wait either. Can we fast forward? You know, no, we don't want to fast forward. You have to enjoy the experience. You have to enjoy the process, you know? You get tremendous anxiety if you're always like, oh, I can't wait. Just enjoy the moment, you know? Enjoy where it's at now. No, Metabox will not be necessary. ACF will not be necessary. Perf Matters will not be necessary. Because see how you have a content manager and a media manager and a template manager and a style manager and a loop manager. You're going to have a performance manager right here. Toggle some switches. Bang, 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 bang. Your shit's lightning fast, right? Because none of this stuff is rocket science. People thought, there's no way they'll get custom post types and custom fields. This is going to take 3 years to architect and engineer. No. They don't understand. There's a lot of things they don't understand. The naysayers, it's not possible for them to understand less than they currently do. It's all possible. It's all happening. It's right here. You could see it now. You could smell it. You could taste it. People need to start believing at this point. That's what needs to happen. Believing and supporting. That's what needs to happen now. And switching. Yeah. They burned 100 million on Calypso. Exciting times. The AI integration with Etch would be integrated as part of the unified experience or a standalone integration. No, it's like what I'm envisioning is literally like Dia. So it's just not Dia, right? It happens in Etch, but it's essentially a side panel like this that you can chat with, but there's no copying and pasting. Because you would say, if you've ever used Cursor, this is very similar, where it would give you HTML, for example, that HTML that it spit back, and it would say, do you want me to insert this for you? And I go, yes. And it knows what area to put it in. And if it's giving me HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and it goes, do you want me to put this in? I'd be like, yes. And it would put it in each of those areas in Etch, because it's trained on the Etch interface. It knows how to identify the different areas of Etch. You could literally go, like, think of that, the structure panel. Do you enjoy this? Where you're like, because it's important. It's important to organize your structure panel, okay? So I do this, right? I go hero, inner, heading, grid, okay? We don't enjoy this. This is not, there's no value. Any monkey can do that. Your client is not paying you to do that. Does that mean it's not important? No, it's very important. But the question is, who should be doing that? What I would like to do is I would like to build the whole section I'm working on and be like, hey, can you organize the structure panel for this team section or whatever it is? And I hit enter and I just watch it. It just writes the labels for me. And I'm like, thank you. Then I right click and go auto BIM and it's auto BIM. So there's so much that it's gonna be able to do for you that is not like, hey, can you do all my work for me? You know, so you could let it do all your work for you if you're that kind of guy or gal. But just think of the possibilities. If it's trained on the interface, a lot of things that it's going to be able to do for you that you just don't want to be doing right now. That is important, but it's like, you know, that's below your pay grade, isn't it? Isn't renaming structure elements kind of below your pay grade? So you could be like, you know, just have the Etch native AI do that for you, and then right click and auto BIM. And then it's also, potentially going to learn your patterns. You could put in preferences in the settings where you could say, hey, I know Kevin likes BIM. I don't really like BIM. Fuck BIM. Everything I ask you to do, I want you to do it in Tailwind, Fuck Kevin completely. Just fuck ACSS. And I want everything, no BIM. I want everything in Tailwind. You could just tell the Etch AI that. And so whenever you ask for code, it gives you all that Tailwind bullshit. And then you could pop that in, and then you love life and I love life. We live different lives, but everybody wins. Everybody wins, right? So that's gonna be like a possibility. Okay, all right, I'm out, guys. I love you guys, and I'll see you again very, very, very soon. Peace.